Welcome to This Week in the PNFL. I'm your host, Mark Hill, and along for the ride as well is Mitch Grawl and Dean Chambers. How you doing, gentlemen?
Good. How are you?
Fantastic.
Doing great. And guys, we have a special guest. We have one of our coaches from the league deciding to come in and join us today, and we are so pleased to have him here. It is the New York Giants coach, Shawn Hamilton. How you doing, Shawn?
Hey, what's up, y'all? What's going on?
Hey, hanging in there, man. Hanging in there. It was a brutal, I would say it's a brutal week for several teams. And as you guys know from the chatter going back and forth, we have a headless horseman on the rampage, and he is just chopping heads left and right and taking victims.
Mark, I'm just glad you finally added some class to the show by inviting Shawn this week.
I don't know about that, but yeah. That's funny.
Okay, so
Honored to be here, man.
it's going to be one of those shows, guys. So, yeah, strap in. So we're going to go ahead and
Pretty rough week this last week too.
do what now?
I said pretty much all of us had a pretty rough week this past week as well.
Yes, we did. Yeah, we all had a rough week. It is, teams that thought they were going to skate through, didn't quite turn out that way. So,
Not at all.
yeah. So we're going to go ahead and get started with these games. We're going to jump in, and we're going to have Shawn jump in with his commentary as well. So I think this will be an interesting take on this week's games. We're going to start off with the first game on our docket. Washington went in to visit Jacksonville, and they walked away with a victory 30-13. We're going to start this one off with Dean. What happened in this game with Jacksonville, Dean?
What happened is Washington went into Jacksonville and they played solid on both sides of the ball and pretty well dominated. Had time of possession, 34 minutes and change in their favor. They had more passing, more rushing yardage. Just overall solid effort by Jerry's Redskins.
I agree. Mitch, your comment.
My comment is this is starting to look like Jerry football. Balanced, eating up the clock, tough defense. What can you say? I think Jerry took it to heart when he lost to Indy a couple of weeks ago. This team's starting to look really dangerous.
I would agree. So, Shawn, what's your take on this? What did you observe?
Yeah, it's a typical Jerry win here. He's firing on all cylinders. You got Murray looking sharp. 140 on the ground there. Time of possession on 35 minutes there. This is what Jerry coaches teams do. So, yeah, they look like they're on track to.
Okay, yes, I definitely agree. Moving on to our next game, we have Atlanta going into Detroit, and Atlanta walking away. Another road victory, road team going in and taking care of business. We're going to start this one off with Mitch.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, this, first of all, congratulations, Coach Chambers, for the win, since you're the only winner on this phone call tonight. So, first of all, congratulations for that win. But I tell you what, if you took the score off the board here and you just look at the stats, I think everyone would go, oh, well, the team on the right must have won. They had the ball for twice as long. They didn't have any turnovers. There's no way that they would have lost that game. Almost double the first downs. But thanks to Will Harris, tackling Will Harris out there with 9 tackles, Atlanta comes away with the road win. So very interesting for sure.
All right, we're going to throw Shawn in this one next because this, and then we'll have Dean bring this up on the end. So, Shawn, what did you observe in this game?
Hey, this is the new 2022 at the Rising Bowl, right? So,
Mhm.
these games usually go back and forth. And, like Mitch said, that Will Harris, having a clone of himself out there making 9 tackles or whatever he had was probably the difference in the game. The stats doesn't tell what happened.
Okay, and Dean, what happened? What did you find what did your team do right this week?
Well, I'm kind of going to echo what Mitch said. Statistically, it was definitely in favor of Detroit. 2 big plays on offense, two long passes, like 40 yards or longer, that Justin Fields completed, led to 14 points. You take away those 2 passes completions, you take away those 14 points, this is a 13-6 Detroit win.
Yep.
So when analyzing what happened, really, it's a win in the win-loss column. But to look at this game, how it really played out, my offense was just very weak other than those 2 plays. I mean, all my offense came up with, other than those 2 big plays that led to 14 points, was 2 field goals. Because, again, you take away those plays, that's a 13-6 Detroit win.
I'll bring this up here to you all because I think this is a very interesting stat line. When was the last time you saw a team have 77 plays but only gain 254 yards? I don't know if I've ever seen that. And that's what Atlanta did to Detroit. Detroit had 77 plays and only averaged 3.3 yards per play. To me, that's, versus Atlanta averaged almost 6.5 yards a play. So, who needs plays, right? When you double the yardage per play, right?
That's playing bend but don't break defense is what that is.
All right, Sean, have you ever seen that before, Sean?
I have not. Just looking at the stats here, looks like he had a handful of backs run the ball with one of them only 2 carries, and the one that got the main carries, Weber, I think that's Mike Weber, averaged 4.2, and the rest didn't really do as well, brought the average down. But, he ran 44 times for 122 yards, 2.8 average, with the longest run being 15 yards. That's a lot of running for not a lot of yards. Right?
Just because I loaded run-stopping defense.
Yep.
I think they call that the Oklahoma drill, is what Detroit played there against Atlanta this weekend.
Pretty much 3 yards in a cloud of smoke. Yep.
Yep, pretty much. All right, moving on to the next one. Indianapolis. Indianapolis hosting somebody's New York Giants and walked away with a win, 48-10. We're gonna start with you on this one, Dean.
This was a pretty dominant performance by the Colts in hosting the Giants, and what can you say? They dominated much more passing yards, a bit more rushing, although it was more passing oriented in general. And Gus Luka, they started a quarterback. I know who's going to, and not only was the player of the game, he's a player of the week.
Yeah.
So pretty solid performance by Indianapolis overall.
Yes, indeed. Mitch, go for it.
Yes, my favorite quarterback in the PNFL, Kyle Allen. 390 yards, 5 touchdowns, and if I'm not mistaken, for the second week in a row, no picks. So that puts Kyle Allen, I believe, since Indianapolis has started him these last 2 weeks, 9 touchdowns, 0 picks. Woo, man!
Can we give him a little bit of applause for that, gentleman?
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Now, on the other hand, I don't know, Sean, what happened to the offense this week, because you are an offensive-minded coach, but man, not this week.
Yeah, they stayed on the bus this week. Yeah, they look kind of rusty. Our souls are still in Indianapolis
That was a short flight from New York. Come on now. So, Coach, what else can you say about this loss? What else? What did you see from this?
Yards. That Kyle Allen just came out, with this Archer, and just coughed this up, basically. No, not a lot of turnovers. It's our game there that we had, Mark, but 5 touchdowns. Yeah, that's the tail of the tape. Yeah, 390 yards.
Yeah.
Woo.
On 25 completions.
Right. It's 60%. Yeah. So, that was a wake-up call there to, get some things worked out that's been hampering me all season. We'll figure it out. But, yeah, the offense just looked off this week. Sometimes when I see offenses struggle like this, I tend to think it's something, like the center, something like that, throwing it off. It works wonders sometimes when you just swap out your center and you magically see your offense start working again. That wasn't the case here. This is the same center I've been using. So, yeah, I really don't have an answer as to why the team fell asleep this week, other than the Colts just dominating on both sides of the ball.
I agree. Next game on the list, we have Green Bay going into L.A. and a little bit of a low-scoring game, but L.A. ended up taking this one 21-12. Mitch, let's start with you.
Yeah, you see Lorenzo Neal, one player of the game, as being a defensive tackle. And one thing I noticed in watching this game is it appeared that Los Angeles ran a lot of 4 down lineman sets. I didn't obviously count them all up, but it seems like there was a lot of 4 down lineman sets in this game, and they were able to get pressure with those 4 linemen and really ate up Prescott quite a bit in this game. And so, offensively, both teams, nobody really stood out there. But what stood out to me was the pressure that LA was able to put on them with the 4 down lineman sets. It was pretty impressive.
Okay, we're gonna put Shawn in there. What do you got on that one, Shawn?
That LA team has been trying to, find their legs there. Look like they finally, was able to put a win together by keeping Green Bay low scoring. Both of the teams, they rushed for under 90 yards there. It's like LA had, 2 for 2, 4th down efficiency, 8 out of 15 on 3rd down. It's like 50% of the 3rd downs they were converting. Lamar Jackson, is this his first debut? Is this his debut game, or is this second week?
I think it's his second week.
I believe so.
I think he played the week before. Yeah.
Yep.
Right. Kind of clean, 2 touchdowns, no fumbles, no interceptions. So, he played mistake-free football there, and they were able to get the win. You don't turn the ball over and you score and stop the other team from scoring. It usually ends with the win.
Yep. Hey, Dean, let's go ahead. What do you have on this?
Yeah, I was thinking, just as we were thinking that, or at least I was thinking that the Chargers were set to maybe have a 10-loss season, they seem to come back and put together a strong effort. And remember what we've been saying about the Green Bay Packers. Some weeks they show up, and some weeks they maybe not so much show up.
Yep.
So this is definitely, the Chargers aren't out of it yet. They're going to win some games. Steve is still doing it, and it's good that it's interesting. Mitch points out the 4 defensive lineman defenses. So I noticed Steve did design some new variations of that this season, and he's been using that stuff.
Yep, I agree. All right,
we're gonna helped him in the red zone. It really helped him in the red zone, holding Green Bay to field goal attempts versus LA getting touchdowns in the red zone. So.
Yep, that's true. So, jumping over to New Orleans, going in to visit San Francisco, and San Francisco, I would say the Giant has awakened, as they took this game 49-13. We're going to start with you on this one, Dean.
Yeah, this is a solid effort by the 49ers. I think the last few weeks, the 49ers have looked like one of the best teams in the league. I mean, they had that, I guess you could say, improbable win against my team, where my team was better statistically, the inverse of the Detroit game this week. But San Francisco outscored my team and won. But since then, the 49ers have looked very solid. So, the 49ers could very well make it into the tournament this season.
Yep.
Keep performing.
Yep, definitely. Mitch, go ahead.
No, I think this is their second game with 40-plus points, and at least 2 wins in a row, maybe 3 wins in a row. They just look good all the way around here. I thought New Orleans' defense would play a little bit better, but, since San Francisco has started running that ball again, they're starting to, create some havoc. So good stuff.
Yep, definitely. Shawn.
Yeah, with this one, again, Charlie brought out the broomstick with the sweeps, his signature sweeps, and sweep you away. I don't think New Orleans was ready for that. I don't know if he did that in the first matchup or what, but that 173 on the ground. I think every time I looked up and I was watching that game, it looked like a back was turning the corner on a sweep. Passing, solid. 6 out of 9 on third downs, 462 yards of offense. This was like, 49ers firing on all cylinders.
Yep, definitely. I think maybe that win against the Jets might have definitely got a good spark in him.
For sure.
Definitely. All right, moving on. Speaking of the Jets took on their rival New England, and they walked away with a victory, a 33-16 victory. I'm going to mix this one up. I'm going to let you take the lead on this one, Shawn.
Is it New York?
New York Jets and New England.
Yeah, New England. The Jets, huh? Sometimes I feel like Murph knows something about this game that nobody else on earth knows about. I mean, even when his teams are being dominated in the first half, they always seem to put it back together. And this is a typical Jets win. They 119 on the ground, 286 in the air. The receivers always seem like they're always running uncovered. They don't drop anything. This is what you expect from a Coach Murphy coach team, and Derek Carr. He's been doing this for seasons now, and like I said, I think Murph knows something about the game none of us else do.
Exactly. Mitch, would you agree or disagree, and what do you think about the game?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, hey, both teams were efficient passing, over 70%, except the Jets were efficient and productive, where New England, unfortunately, their luck ran out after that 2-game winning streak. So we'll see what happens next week in their matchup.
Okay, Dean.
The other thing I noticed about the Jets offense is even if you have the right defenses and coverages, their wide receivers still seem to catch the ball in coverage. They can be wide open, as Shawn said, but there are times when you cover them and they still catch the ball. Mm-hmm. So, the Jets are able to sustain drives even when the defense is playing tough against them and still be, as Mitch said, productive and score points.
Yep.
We should have an investigation look into that.
I mean, he is human. There was that season where he started, he lost 7 games and almost came back and made the playoffs. I forget what year that was, but I was amazed at that.
That was 2005, I think, wasn't it?
Was it?
I don't know.
I mean, yeah, he lost 7 straight games and then, came back and won the rest. So, yeah, Murphy's definitely on to something that he'll probably take to his grave with them. But but we'll figure it out.
So he was basically spotting somebody. I'll spot you those games. Now let me watch. Hold my beer. Watch this. All right, we're gonna move on. Go ahead now.
Mm-hmm. That's what it felt like.
Yeah, hold my beer. Let me show y'all something. All right.
The beer is still holding it.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna move over to Oakland, and you've heard the name this week. The Headless Horseman's out again, and Denver went to Oakland and took care of business in Oakland, 35-14. We're gonna start this one off with Dean.
Yeah, that was a pretty solid performance by the Headless Horseman. I remember watching that game, and Denver seemed to jump up front early and just stay ahead the whole game. It was just they're tough to stop. I mean, there's something that Jerry has done with those game plans and profiles. They're very solid.
Most definitely. Shawn, I'll start with you, and then we'll wrap it up with the coach. So what did you observe in this?
Yeah, this is another one of those Jerry profiles, evil genius type stuff. I'm sure Mitch prepared for this game, and it just feels like this is nothing that I saw in practice. When you start,
I said the same thing.
you see the game go, and you're like, wow, it's just upside down. So, we're gonna have to tame the Headless Horseman here shortly, or else we'll end up watching another CPU team in the Super Bowl again.
Yeah, it's we got to do something about this guy. Definitely, someone has to take him. Second to the last game. This is one of our games of the week. It was Anaheim going to Chicago, and Chicago taking this game 29-22. Mitch.
Hey, well, I'll tell you what. I have been a big fan of Anaheim and what Coach Smith has been doing there from an offensive standpoint. I wasn't sure, even though I think Dobbs had won 2 Player of the Week awards in a row. I thought they would keep it closer than the spread, because the spread was pretty high. But this right here was on the road, a really good showing against Chicago. So I know that Coach Smith does not necessarily want a moral victory, but 3 touchdowns, 350 in the air, outgained Chicago by 100 yards. I think those turnovers, those interceptions, ended up making a big difference in the game. But no, solid performance for Anaheim. I talk about Anaheim. Chicago won the game, but I think I was just impressed to see Chicago. Anaheim kind of keep things rolling. Yep. I think they're going to be tough going forward.
For sure.
Yeah, go ahead and add to that, Shawn. Go ahead.
Yeah, they once they got things together. You got Dobbs as a signal caller there. I call him the Josh Small Hands Dobbs, because his hands rating is kind of low. We used to see him fumble a lot in seasons past, but he really got him, throwing darts over there. And they look like they didn't run much carries, but they yielded 130 yards from 13 carries. So I was surprised as well to see them hang with Chicago the way they did. Was almost tempted to take the 17-point, but the team is playing too solid to assume that someone would score more than
Well, and think about this: they missed 2 field goals too. They get those 2 field goals,
right?
Right. Granted, they still would have lost by 1, but they could have changed the whole complexion of the game.
For sure.
Yep.
They definitely is not one to sleep on. If they get to the tournament. So hats off to Brian there.
Yep. Dean, go ahead and finish this. Wrap this one up for us.
Yes. A comment that the tendency of Joshua Dobbs to fumble the ball, he led the league in fumbles the last season I started him, is why Justin Fields has his job now rather than Joshua Dobbs. But he's been very effective for the Anaheim offense. And that's why I said last week that Chicago is not going to cover that too excessively high spread. I think some of these spreads have been too high for Chicago. And I think the difference is the Jets often get some very large spreads, but they cover them more often than Chicago does. I mean, Chicago is a very solid team, but I don't think they're quite at the level that the Jets are at. So they don't cover the spread quite as often. So that's something to consider in coming weeks as we look at these games. And when we see Chicago has like a 14, 15, or 17-point spread, how often they don't cover those excessively large spreads.
And I hate to be whoever plays Chicago this week because now they will get beat by 40 points.
Wow. So they got to be on the lookout for that one, huh? All right, so we're going to wrap this one up. This was something that was picked during the pre-show that we had offline. And Minnesota. Okay, Minnesota went to Seattle. Seattle was predicted to win this game. Seattle was leading, doing their job, but in the end, they ended up losing this game 28-31. We're going to start with Dean. I'm going to keep my mouth quiet. Dean.
Yeah, this was a tough game. You know, the season's been pretty tough for Minnesota overall, so you couldn't expect that Barney's team would continue losing and that they would one of these weeks would come out and I don't know if you say surprise us, but
why this week?
Yeah, I know. I agree with you. If I were you, I'd say this is the wrong week for Minnesota to come back. They should wait until next week.
Thanks, Barney.
That's what happens.
Yes. Okay. Mitch, go for it.
Well, you got to-ed is what happened. You got to-ed because you held Minnesota to nothing on the ground, 20 carries, 1.6 yards a carry. Tua just said, the heck with it. I'm just going to go and take this on myself and win this game. And it took him, I think it was 59 minutes and 59 seconds. But he did win the game there, I think, I think the play started with 6 seconds to go. So absolutely crazy. And I guess it was just Minnesota's day to win crazy games in the last minutes. It is what it is, I guess.
Yeah. All right, Shawn, I'll let you wrap this segment up. Go ahead and bring it home. What was your take?
Yeah, man. It looked like, you had your own horsemen going on out there. Your whole backfield looked like everybody got touchdowns except for your QB there. So, you're definitely onto your Seattle game plan for your winning formula, but Minnesota and the passing seem to do you in. I like balance. Look like that's your team had a lot of balance this week, Mark. But like Oprah touchdowns for everybody in the backfield. But that secondary, if you can tighten that up back there, look who's talking, right? I just got 400 yards. I'm telling you to tighten up your secondary. But
the guy who created the player of the week is talking about tightening up defense.
Hey, I will say this. This is the one comment that I'll make for this segment is that yes, I thought I had it buttoned down, but it seems like my Achilles heel. This goes to what happened last season. A lot of the games that I had lost was like by 7 points or by 3 points was always in the fourth, and it's like I have to. Something is missing there, so definitely gotta keep plugging away on that and working on that to get to that get that all tightened up. But
sounds like some conditioning issues.
Some definitely conditioning issues.
Strength and conditioning coach.
Definitely, I will tip my cap off to Barney. He did a great job. But damn, you could have picked.
And it's good to see your team in practice go down and try to come out and pull out some of those, late fourth quarter wins. If you're not seeing a lot of that in practice, I doubt you would see it on game day.
Yeah, well, again, it's one of these things where I thought it was working, but
Well, in practice, I'm sure Seattle was probably blowing out Minnesota, so he wasn't worried
Right.
about it.
no, I wasn't really. They weren't being blown out. It was a competitive game, but I thought I had everything lined up. Just like with you, Mitch, with the Headless Horseman, you thought you had it lined up, but it's like there's always something there. You can plan for 99.9999999, but that one little piece out there is missing, and that one little piece is what's going to get you.
Well, you get it, and yeah, you win 99 out of 100 sims, and then unfortunately, when you get into the real game, that one is the one that shows up for the game.
Exactly. That's the one that shows up and bites you on the backside. So, all right, guys, that wraps up this past week's games as we move on, keep moving a little bit forward. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that segment now. But getting to our guest today, as we talked about this, and I'm going to open it up to Mitch and Dean, but I'm going to start this off with Shawn. I mean, we've all played this game for a long time, for years. I started out back in, I think it was 94, 95, somewhere around that era. So just getting a little insight with Shawn. When did you start playing the game? What drew you into it? What was your beginnings of it? And definitely Mitch and Dean, feel free to jump on in.
Around 97, 98, I bought the game at one of those CPU game places. I was a big CPU game player. I bought the game, sat on my, counter there for a while before I even cracked it open. And then once I got into it, I was a big statistical guy. Back then, I think this game probably led me to the profession I'm doing today, with the data collection and everything else. But yeah, I could hours and stare at stats and things like that, and it really never bothered me. Then I got into the leagues like around, I want to say 99, 2000. I was in a few leagues that Justin was in the QFL, Brian as well. I think we were all QFL coaches. And, I watched the PNFL from afar for a while. I was under the impression that you had to create new plays each week. So I just thought that was the big leagues. I wasn't ready for that yet. So I just watched, and got my name on the waiting list there. And then Charlie finally had an opening, hit me up, and they kind of kept the training wheels on me for a while there until I, got my feet wet and things started coming back. But it's been, what 22 now. So yeah, it's been a good 23, 25 years worth of playing this game and enjoying the league.
Okay. Mitch, you got any questions for Shawn?
Yeah, well, Sean, I know that we've traded emails back and forth on some different things here over the last several years that I've been active in the PNFL, and one of the things that I've noticed about your teams, barring this past weekend, right, is that you are one who likes to seem to create plays and whether it's offense and defense, but you tend to have more of a. It seems like you have more of that. Green thumb for creating some really good offensive plays. Is that where you find your enjoyment? Is it in the play creation, or is it like in just the stats, like you said when you first got into this? Kind of where is your real enjoyment?
It is the play creation, Mitch. It is the play creation. You hit it on the nail. I like drawing up good plays and executing them and seeing them. Other teams execute them and how they work for certain, skill set attributed players or whatever. I think I get fun out of the preparation. Losing sucks, yeah, but I think I enjoy the preparation, right? The whole scouting and if you're not utilizing the opportunity to create new plays, for your next opponent, you're leaving yourself at a disadvantage, right? To me, I like to turn that stone over. And a lot of games that I've lost or weeks that I did not create any customs. Superstitious guy, so certain things that work, I like to continue using it and changing it and routines and stuff like that. Yeah, I'm big on that. Like, I'm the type, if you tell me, I tell you I'm going to the casino, you tell me good luck, I'll turn around and go back home.
Bad. That's a bad omen.
Yeah, I just those type of things. For a while, I didn't like the live games. I was used to the log games. I was like, Rich, don't put my game on the video. I want to read the log. It took me a while to really adapt to that. And now, I enjoy reading it. I think it was James who mentioned about us watching the live games again. I think that's kind of cool, come playoff time where, they, we do the live games where we can comment on it. I mean, that stuff's fun to me,
Yeah, I was the opposite of you. I was like begging for our games to be broadcast or recorded because that's where I get enjoyment, is watching all that game planning and all that preparation and all the stuff that I work on during the week come together live on that game. And so reading the logs, I was like, let me see it live. Let me see it live.
Right. But for years, that's all we did was the logs. It wasn't until probably, I don't know, 6 or 7 seasons ago, Rich started doing the videos, and then, he got it to a system to where all the games he would video, because, it was just a couple games a week he would show the video for us before he started doing all of them. And, it's just adaptation, I guess. I was just so used to waking up Sunday morning and getting my coffee, and I was on the West Coast, so, Charlie go walk his dog and then send the logs out. And I'd just be reading the log. To me, that was very soothing.
Okay. So, Dean, what questions do you have for him?
Yes, Shawn, I would ask you, what is the best advice you can give to the newer coaches in our league that have only coached maybe 2 or 3 seasons and are still, as you would say, still working with the training wheels, as you called it?
Working with the training wheels? It's to study the plays, getting to the log files and see what plays work versus what. And then, establishing your identity, what kind of team are you going to field? Do you have the right players for your, perceived strategy? You 3-4 defense, 4-3 defense, or running team, passing team. We all have our preferences when it comes to player attributes and the reasons why we covet certain attributes than others. But once they get that figured out and not get turned away by the losing. There's a lot of coaches in this league that's been playing this game for 20 plus years. Wins are not easy to come by, right? So losing sucks, but once you put that effort in there and you find out what works, you'll start to string some games together and make you feel a lot better about the time that you're putting in. I think it was Mitch that mentioned it, that preparing and losing, that just fucking sucks. It's the worst thing. I rather lose games that I don't prepare for than spend a whole week playing that lose.
Yeah, I definitely understand. From my aspect, when I first started playing in the league, I think the first several seasons was just, I got fed up with the losing. It was like, okay, what am I going to do? Just phone this in? Didn't just frustrate me. Then last season, I said, you know what? I gotta back everything up. Take a look at this. What is it that I'm doing wrong? Look at the plays. Look at the log files. Look at the games and try to figure it out. And definitely, like Mitch was saying, last season A lot of coaches, and I talked to several coaches. Mitch was the first one that reached out to me, and I started talking with him a lot. And I, just digging into it, and as the season went on, it was like, wait a minute, what's going on in the Pacific Northwest? Seattle's starting to win some games, and I thought I was on the ramp, but then I hit a couple little bumps in the road, and had to take a step back. But I was more competitive last season. This season, I had higher expectations. I'm hitting a little rough patch now, but you just got to go back and refocus it and say, okay, what am I doing wrong? Where's my weak points? And look at where those weak points are and try to fix those things. And you made a good point there, Shawn, that look at the logs, look at your plays, just dig in, and definitely reach out to the coaches. They're not going to tell you everything, but they'll kind of guide you along, because if you get better, that makes them better, and it makes the league better. Would you agree, gentlemen?
For sure. Yeah, you need a co-pilot in this game, especially, for me, it was Dean. I reached out to him when I first joined the league, and we've been in contact ever since. Create plays in the off season, we test philosophies, and, go head to head. I mean, unless you got someone like that by yourself, I don't think it's probably going to be boring, especially when you start piling up the losses.
Yeah, definitely.
And plus, it gives you somebody, kind of go, okay, what are you seeing, in my numbers, or when you see some of these games, what are you seeing maybe that I'm not seeing, or,
Right.
because, other than, hey, I should be telling Mark, he needs to work on that under 15-second defense in the second half, obviously. But that's a whole other thing. But but no, that's something that Mark and I have done here the last, I guess, season and a half is kind of, all right, hey, I lost this game. What did you see? Or, all right, well, I won that game, but still didn't do well. What do you think? I think one thing I told you last year, Mark, was, hey, move Najee Harris to number one and McCaffrey to number two. Like the next week, you ran for like 150 yards.
Yep. Just like somebody's quarterback. Yeah. Definitely. He's the player whisperer over here. Yeah. All right. So we gonna wrap this one up here. I want to go longer, but we gotta. I mean, we can easily keep this show going for much longer, but we're gonna kind of move this along a little bit further. It's kind of like when I had a conversation. We had a conversation with Dean. A lot of good wealth of information. I think we need to do a much longer show one day where we can do that. So, but we're gonna keep this thing moving along a little bit further, gentlemen. And
some special editions other than the weekly show.
Yes, I think that would be something that we could do. If you guys think that's a good idea, we could do that. Maybe take like mid-show or something, like midweek, and just do a whole episode on the coach. If you guys are interested.
Oh yeah, or even if we want to, rip apart a game, inside the PNFL, and pick a couple games that we just dive into the rabbit hole on. Yeah,
we can do that. We can definitely look at that. Definitely. So, but we're going to go ahead and move on to the Week 8 games. We're going to try and see how fast we can run through these. The first game on the docket is the Lions taking on the Cardinals. The Cardinals have a 17.5 point. So we're going to start this one off with Mitch. What do you think on this game?
No, I'm going to take the Dean approach. I don't think the Cardinals will cover 17.5. But I think they're going to win this game. I think it'll probably be by 10 or 12. But we'll see. We'll see.
Okay, Dean.
Well, this is the week where I'm going to say that, like any rule, the Dean approach has exceptions, and it doesn't contradict what I said earlier. But I think Detroit is struggling, and I think Chicago will want to mount a comeback from what happened last week, the close game. I think the Cardinals do cover the spread this week.
Okay. Shawn.
Oh, man. Yeah, James definitely stepped up his coaching to the point to where he could flush his whole team and sign rookies and still get wins with. But, he helped build that Cardinals team, right? A lot of those are former Lion players. It's too much on paper. Unless something really happens, some kind of good. Yeah, I can see him covering that 17-point spread this week.
Okay. All right, moving on to our next game. We have the Falcons at the Redskins. The Redskins have a 10.5-point spread. We're going to start with you on this one, Dean.
I think this game is going to be closer than that spread. I can't necessarily promise a win. Jerry's team is, as Shawn said, firing on all cylinders. It's doing very well. But I think I might be able to mount a challenge to him. So I think if Washington does win, it's probably not going to be by 10.5.
Okay. Mitch.
Well, if Falcons offense plays like they did against Detroit, Redskins win by 21. However, I think the Falcons are going to play better this week, but I actually think the Redskins will actually win this game by, I'm going to say by 13.
By 13? Okay. Shawn.
Oh, man. Jerry has his team, like a well-oiled machine right now. They're starting to grab, the victim list is getting higher. I do feel like the Falcons could thwart that just for 1 week, slow them down a little bit. You at home or is at Washington?
It's in Washington.
It's in Washington. That's gonna be a tough one. If the Falcons do pull it out, it'll be a close win. I would take the Falcons with this one. I don't see beating them by 10.5. Yeah.
Okay.
Can we do this? Can we have if the spread with or without rain? Because without rain, Jerry wins by 13. With rain, I think Falcons win outright with rain. Because Jerry never plays well in the rain. Neither do I.
Okay.
I don't either.
We'll have to add.
My team is in a dome at home. My team plays like garbage in the rain. So if it's
well, if it's a rain game, it might be 0-0 then, because Jerry and my team play awful in the rain.
3-0 game. 3-0 game. Redskins kick a field goal.
There you go. Next game, 49ers and the Packers. They are giving the 49ers 4.5. We're going to start this one with Shawn.
49ers and the Packers. Yeah, Charlie's team is, struck gold. He definitely has them doing their thing right now. Yeah, I'm going to go with them covering that spread. They're on fire right now.
All right, Mitch.
See, I see what Rich is doing here. He set this at 4.5 after the Packers lost to San Francisco 44-3 a few weeks ago, and then San Francisco winning these games big lately. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, lead pipe lock. Packers win this game outright. Packers outright this week.
Okay.
Wow.
Dean.
Right. You know when you hear those words, lead pipe lock, run as fast as you can in the other second mortgage and bet against the lead pipe lock. Charlie football is going to prevail again, and it's going to be by much more than 4.5. 49ers win and cover the spread. Take that to the bank.
Okay. Take it to the bank. Lock it in, guys. Next game, Rams at the Seahawks. Mitch.
Oh, man. This was going to be good. It's really two strengths. Your strength, well, kind of, is running the ball and defense. And then LA strength is definitely on the offensive side. And so, oh my gosh, I'm gonna tell you right now, I think the Rams win this one. They're playing really good right now.
Okay. Shawn.
Yeah. This is Rams at.
Rams are coming to the Kingdom in Seattle.
So no rain. Yeah.
It's the Pacific Northwest. Come on.
Yeah. I think the I think the backfield of the Seahawks there, pull a hat trick and do the same thing they did this week. And I don't think your back end will get tore up as bad. You'll probably address that this week. So yeah, I'll give the Hawks an edge in this one.
All right, Dean.
I think the question is, how many times did Joshua Dobbs fumble the ball and turn it over? Seahawks win at home.
Okay. Next game, Jets are going to Oakland to take on the Raiders. We're going to start this one with Dean.
I have 3 words for this game. Jets. They win and cover the spread. They dominate. I mean, Oakland is a solid team, but Jets are playing at another whole level. You know, as Shawn said earlier, there's something about this game that Thomas Murphy knows that the rest of us don't. I say, you want a lead pipe lock? Just to cover the spread. That's your
Shawn, jump in on this one. Wow. Not the lead pipe lock used on him. Go ahead, Shawn.
Yeah, I mean, the champs are the champs. Nick's going to have some time to, dethrone them, especially coming off an L. I think that, he's definitely going to look into what he's been doing. I want to give Mitch the edge in this week with the upset win of the week.
Okay, he's giving him the upset, Mitch.
I didn't hear lead pipe lock on that, Shawn. I heard I'm hoping, I'm just feeling bad for the guy. No. All right, so Mark, I don't even know why I don't even know why my Raiders are even going to show up this week. I mean, I decided there's no reason to, do any game planning. I've turned off all my computers for simulations, everything. And heck, I thought about just turning in my game plan from last week to Rich early. So I don't even know why I'm even worrying about this game. I ain't
bullshit. That means that you work at
Thomas is
So I probably don't even need to. I probably won't even watch the game when he posts it to YouTube. That's how I'm feeling about this one.
Okay. Okay. We're moving on. Patriots at the Colts. They are giving the Colts 4.5 points on this one. We're going to start with Mitch on this one.
Colts, the Kyle Allen Colts win this game and cover the spread.
Okay, Dean.
I completely agree. Indianapolis wins, covers the spread. 4.5. I mean, they're going to win by more than a touchdown. That's a very conservative spread.
Okay, Shawn.
Yeah, I saw them up front and close and personal. Yeah, I'm going to take the Colts.
Okay. Next game.
Which means New England will win by 10 this week.
There you go. Wow.
Because all of us has picked the Colts.
And that's locker room material. So,
that's right. That's
all right.
Lead pipe lock on New England.
There you go. Next one, Jaguars and the Saints. They're giving the Saints 8.5. We're going to start this one off with Shawn.
Jack the Saints. Something's funny going on over there in Jacksonville. I don't know. Looks like he's working on some things. Yeah, I'll go with the Saints on this one.
Okay. Dean.
Yeah, the Saints are going to win and cover the spread. I think Jacksonville is doing better, but I think there's a lot of incentive for the Saints to get back on the winning side and perform strongly. So I think the Saints win and cover the spread.
Okay, Mitch.
Yeah, I agree. Saints and not sure what's happened to Jacksonville this year. They've definitely not up to that playoff caliber they were a year ago.
No.
Okay. Next one, Vikings and the Chargers. They're giving the Chargers 3.5. Mitch, we'll let you take this one.
I'm going to take the Vikings. I'm going to take the Vikings in this game. I don't know why. I just feel that I don't know. It's got a gut feeling that Barney's going to take that win last week, and he's going to. I don't know. I'm going to take the Vikings.
Okay, the Dean.
Yeah. There's that high in-depth analysis. I have no idea why, but I'm picking the Vikings.
Okay, Dean.
This is the AFC West, and in the AFC West, other than the Headless Horseman on any given Sunday, I think there's a bit more incentive. I know that Steve is really getting it together lately, but I think Barney is too, and I see the Vikings winning this game, even if it's close.
Okay, Shawn.
I'll do something different. I think this will be one of the ties this week. It might be 17-17.
Ooh. I did not predict that one.
Yeah, I could see that happening potentially.
Okay, I did not see coming. Okay. Last game of the week. We have the Headless Horsemen going to New York, and they're going against the Giants. We're going to start with Dean on this one. What do you think the Headless Horseman is going to do this week?
I think the Headless Horseman is going to do what it does, but I think on the other hand, Shawn is going to put together a solid game plan on both sides of the ball, and I think he's going to put something together that will be well prepared for Denver, and I think the Giants are going to. It might be close, but I think the Giants are going to pull off a win here at home.
Okay, Mitch.
Well, Shawn just wants you to know there's no shame when you lose to the Broncos this weekend. Okay, we've all done it. I don't know, Dean. I don't know if you played it or not, but I know that Mark and I we've already lost to Denver, so. If you lose this week, no shame in it, so don't feel bad. Don't feel bad. Here's Shawn. Don't serious. If you get that Shawn offense cooking like you'll do, I think you've been kind of on 1 week, off the next. You were off this past week. This means this week you'll be on again. At home, I think you can beat the spread, but. It's hard to pick against the Broncos right now since they just beat me by 21. So,
okay. All right. So we're gonna let you finish with this one up, Shawn. What do you think?
Hey man, this damn game, that's what keeps us going, right? You wonder, can you pull it off? It's like he's handed us the plans, handed us the profile,
and we still lose by 21.
And we still losing.
Right, so it's like, what the hell? But I've been practicing against this profile since week 1. I feel comfortable against it. I feel like I can cover this week for the simple fact that this is what I practice against. So,
okay.
I feel like I cover. I don't know about any blowouts or anything like that. But I'll try to hang in there, right? He handed us the plan, right? So, we'll see.
All right. So we are going to wrap this up. We did go a little bit long, but that's good. I think we had a good time doing it. I know I had fun. Hopefully, Shawn enjoyed coming on the show and spending some time with us.
Guys, listen, cats.
At the end here?
Yep.
After this coming week's games, we're going to have played 8 games halfway through the season. So I think next week we could probably take a look at how teams are looking and, where they're headed at the halfway point of the season.
Oh, definitely. We will do that. We'll definitely do that. So
we can do that. And now also I'll take a look at how the rookies are doing, right? We'll take a look at the midway point.
Yeah, we can.
The rookies are helping the teams and
I'll dig up my my draft analysis and see how my draft analysis is related to actual stats on the field. So,
okay, we will definitely do that. So as we go to wrap this up, I would like to thank Shawn for coming on to the show with us this week. As usual, this is This Week in the PNFL with Mark Hill, Mitch Grawl, and Dean Chambers. Does there anything that Mitch and Dean want to have? Let's start with you, Dean.
Just look forward to next week.
All right, Mitch, you want to take it home?
Let's get it.